Welcome to Podnutz Daily for June 18th, 2008. With me today is Mike Petro.
How you doing?
I bet you guys were wondering what he looks like. Well, now you know. All right. Well, Mike just joined me at the last second, so I already have my list of things that I did today that I'm going to talk about. And then while I'm talking about them, Mike will probably think of one or two things that he did. Maybe. Yeah?
I got a couple things.
He's got a couple things. Okay. I've been talking about HP, and also, sorry guys, the background, forget it. I've got to do something else with that, but just bear with it for this episode. Been talking about this HP desktop that's been just killing me the last couple days with this upper and lower filters. Basically, when you turn the computer on, the DVD drive and CD drive is not recognized by Windows. It's recognized in the BIOS, and I could run any live CD off of it I want, but when I load Windows, it doesn't recognize it. So I've been researching it for like past 3 days about why that's happening. And it turns out when you install iTunes, iTunes installs this thing in the registry called the Upperfilter. And there's a DLL or a file in the Upperfilter that conflicts with something else in Windows and causes the computer to not recognize the DVD drive anymore, no matter if you try to load the drivers for the DVD drive or not. So we've been tearing our hair out. Every time we delete that key from the registry, the upper filters, the DVD drive works again. But then iTunes doesn't work because it needs that thing in the registry, the upper filters. So what we basically did is I went into his add remove programs, or in Vista, they call it programs and features. And I just started going down the list and deleting programs out of there because the bottom line was, with all the research I've done, and you guys have been hearing me talk about it for the last 3 days, there was something conflicting with iTunes. Because if iTunes did this to every computer, there would be a huge problem. So there had to be something particular to this computer that was not agreeing with iTunes and causing this whole problem to happen. Well, I deleted maybe 10 programs out of his add remove programs. One of them was called Jingle Sound or something like that. It was by Samsung. I don't know what it was, but that might have been the one that, when I deleted it, everything worked fine. So something in the list of 10 I deleted caused the computer to work again. So one of those programs was conflicting with iTunes. Usually it's a DVD or CD authoring or burning program like a Roxio that will cause something like this. But I didn't want to remove his Roxio because he had a pretty big version of it, and I didn't have the discs for it, and we kind of got lucky on it. But anyway, if you have that problem where you turn the computer on, it doesn't recognize the DVD drive, check out this upper and lower filters in the registry. They have to be deleted, or at least the programs that you're running on your computer all have to agree with each other. It's a conflicting problem of two programs conflicting with each other that's causing that problem.
The upper and lower filter, it's a specific class ID that you have to delete because there's upper and lower filter registry entries in numerous class. You know the class of the big alphanumeric string in the registry? It's a particular one, so don't just see upper and lower and delete that one. It's got to be the right one. If you Google upper and lower CD drive missing, it'll tell you the one that you need to delete. It's always just in that one. Right.
In other words, don't go into the registry and just delete all the upper and lower filters.
Yeah, if you search the registry for upper filters or lower filters, you're going to find that key hundreds of times in your registry.
Okay. Good tip. Thanks, Mike. That would have caused some problems if somebody did that. All right. I want to talk about another thing I did today that kind of redeems myself a little bit. I don't know if you guys listened to the last Podnutz. It was with Simon Zarafa. And when he started, one of the things he wanted to make very clear was that not to use checkdisk/r. And I talk about using that a lot because it actually works for me. It handles a lot of problems for me. He says it's damaging, and it very well could be. But he also talks about using SpinRite, which I also use. But then people are criticizing SpinRite for being damaging as well. Anyway, I had a problem today of a computer that came in. It wouldn't boot. When you tried to boot into Windows, what would happen is before Windows even started, you would get an error that says Windows could not load because in the folder Windows/system/config, might have been in one of those folders, the hal.dll file was corrupted. So it's hal.dll. Did you ever get that one, Mike?
I've seen that, yes.
Anyway, there's a fix on Microsoft's website. I'll get the specific knowledge base article. and it tells you how to handle that. Well, we went through that handling and tried to run the computer after doing the handling, and the handling wouldn't work. The computer told us to run check disk. So I'm like, well, I remember what Simon said, check disk/R might be damaging, so I'm just going to run check disk plain. So I ran check disk plain. It ran in about 10 seconds. We tried doing the fix again. It didn't work. So I said, all right, well, let me try check disk/R. So I did check disk/R, which ran for about 40 minutes. It did its thing. Then I tried to do the fix from Microsoft, and it actually worked this time, and the computer was able to boot up. So, I understand that check disk/R might be pulling out data from sectors that it can't repair, but I've used it so many times, and it has worked. So if you want to use it as a last resort, use it as a last resort, or at least back up the files on the hard drive before you use it. You got any thoughts on that, Mike?
I don't have any problems with check disk. I don't run it that often. Usually the only time I'll run check disk is if I get like an accessible boot device. Interesting thing, the check disk on Vista is far superior to the check disk on XP. I've noticed that I had 2 jobs within the last couple of weeks that hard drive, I tried to load it up in a Vista, or excuse me, an XP machine, and it tells you that the directory is damaged or corrupt. Can't repair it. I ran check disk on it, and took 40 minutes. Still the same problems. I put the hard drive in a USB enclosure, put it on my Vista machine. Vista said the disk has some problems. Would you like to run check disk? I did it. It completely fixed the disk. I was able to read to it, read from it, and the important part was it was a customer's hard drive where he had like a boatload of music, pictures, and stuff like that. He was thinking that he was going to lose them because he couldn't get into a system. The Vista, I think, I don't know what's different about it, but the check disk on Vista has saved me 2 hard drives over the last probably 3 weeks.
Cool. How do you run check disk from Vista? You mean from the operating system or in a recovery console, or?
You ever put in like a thumb drive and it always says, "Would you like to open it, or would you like to scan and fix?"
Yep.
That mechanism. I don't know if it's a check disk/R. I don't know what the switches are, but it works good.
Huh. I got to try that. I've been running it from the recovery console because sometimes that's the only way I could get to a certain point on that operating system where I could do anything. But good tip, Mike.
You can run check disk from the command prompt. If you use the /R, you'll get a message that'll say the files are in use. Would you like to run check disk the next time you restart? And if you hit yes and restart the computer before it gets into Windows, it'll actually.
Does that run the check disk where the screen's blue? The blue screen check disk? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Laptop came in today. Simple fix on this. It said that it wouldn't boot. Whenever he turned it on, it wouldn't even it got past the flash boot screen.